Okay, today we're going to continue with part 3 of chapter 6, the passage from Secret of the Shambhala. And the deck we're using is Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray. So let's have a look and see what message we're going to have today as we continue reading this chapter. What message are we going to have today? What are we going to focus on? Let's have a look. Oh, this card here is sticking out. And while we're here, we're actually going to include this one and this and okay, staring at me. Why is that one? Right, so let's have a look. What cards did we pull out? Card number was about being brave and being honest. Okay, so this to me I feel like is about having a sense of integrity as we sort of face our fears. That seems really important. As we move through this chapter, it's about facing our fears, being able to be really honest with ourselves, having a sense of integrity as we move through this journey. Super, super important here. And here we get about trusting in the unknown with Sky Father. Again, we get that sense of really trusting who we are, trusting where we're going, trusting in the energies that we have within ourselves. As we take note of any intuitive messages that are coming through, trusting ourselves, really, really important here. Oh, interesting reading. Okay, so the last card we're looking at here is about being devoted and being committed to trusting the path that we're moving on. I love this. It's about what do we intend and to create, about being brave and honest. I think it's really important to be really brave in the direction that we're moving into, having that sense of integrity. So I think that's part of our intention. Okay, as we trust in the universe, trust in what's going on, trusting our own intuitive messages that are coming through here is super, super important, and really about being devoted and committed to the path that we're traveling. Very interesting message there. So take a minute to sort of reflect on the cards that we've received in this as we continue this chapter 6, the passage. When I awoke, I looked around wildly. The fire had died down, and the first light of dawn was emerging outside. The snow was falling hard, just as hard as the night before. Something had awakened me. What? I heard the dull drone of helicopters growing louder, heading towards me. Jumping to my feet, I gathered my things. In seconds, the helicopters were directly overhead, adding to the swirling wind. Without warning, half the monastery began to crumble and fall inwards, creating a storm of blinding dust. I felt my way out the back opening and ran outside, abandoning my gear. The blizzard was still blowing horizontal snow, and I could only see a few yards in front of me. But I knew if I continued to run in this direction, I would soon come to the mountain face I'd seen the day before. I struggled on until I could see the rocky slope. It was directly in front of me, about 50 feet away, but in the dawn light I knew it shouldn't be this visible. It was as if the mountains were bathed as a soft, slightly amber colour, especially near one of the large crevices I'd seen before. I stared a moment longer, knowing what it meant. Then took off running towards the light as more of a monastery fell in behind me. When I reached the cliff wall, the helicopter seemed to be directly overhead. What was left of the old monastery completely crashed down behind me, shaking the ground and dislodging the snow in the crevice nearest to me, revealing a narrow opening. It was a cave after all. I stumbled through the passageway and into total darkness. Feeling my way ahead, I found the back wall and then another opening that was less than 5 feet high. It bent to the right and I crawled through it, glimpsing the small ray of light ahead. Far in the distance, I struggled forward. At one point I tripped over a large rock and fell head first into the dirt and gravel floor, skinning my elbows and arm. But the fading sound of the helicopters drove me onward. I shook off the pain and continued moving in the direction of the light. After I'd travelled several hundred feet, I could still see the tiny opening, but it seemed no closer. I continued on for most of an hour, feeling my way towards the tiny illumination ahead of me. Finally, the light seemed to be getting closer, and as I got to within 10 feet of it, I was abruptly met with a blast of warmer air and the fragrance that I had smelt before at the monastery. In the distance somewhere, I also heard a loud, melodious human cry that reverberated through my body, bringing forth an inner warmth and euphoria. Was this call Lama Rigdon had mentioned, the call of Shambhala? I climbed up over the last remaining rock and stuck my head through the opening. Before me was an unbelievable sight. I was facing a large pastoral valley and clear blue sky. Beyond the valley were huge snow-capped mountain peaks. All were strikingly beautiful in the bright sunlight. The temperature was chilly, but temperate. The green plants were growing everywhere. In front of me, the hill sloped gently down towards the valley floor. As I walked through the opening and started down the hill, I felt overwhelmed by the energy of the place and began to have trouble focusing. Lights and colours were swirling together, and I felt myself slump to my knees, out of control. I began to roll down the hill. I rolled and rolled, almost as though I was half asleep, losing all sense of time. Wow! Where is he? Where's he travelled to? You have to wait till the next chapter. Okay, so that's it from me. Don't forget to check the links down below. Check the links on my channel. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care and blessed be.